Let us sound together as one group the mantra of the disciples' degree. May the energy of the divine self inspire us and the light of the soul direct. May we be led from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, and from death to immortality. Welcome as we continue our process of opening to the energies of Taurus as a discipleship group.
May the holy ones, whose disciple I am, show me the light I seek. Give me the strong aid of their compassion and their wisdom. There is a peace which passeth understanding. It abides in the hearts of those who live in the eternal. There is a power which maketh all things new. It lives and moves in those who know the self as one. May that peace brood over us, that power uplift us, till we stand where the one initiator is invoked, till we see his star shine forth. The entire secret of divine purpose and planning is hidden in this sign. Will is active, purpose is passive.
Master DK instructs us to utilize visualization and gives us some wonderful images. We'll use this today as we continue to better understand our role as part of the new group of world servers as we approach the Wesak in Taurus. We visualize our planetary relationships in relation to the divine cosmic intermediaries. The extraplanetary triangle. The planetary triangle. The triangle of our masters, our groups, and the spiritual agents of the new group of world servers. The triangle of head, heart, and ajna center. And each of us, the triangle of head, heart, and throat center. the avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Lord Buddha, bringing light to guide our planetary being. The avatar of synthesis, with a special relationship with the new group of world servers, the Ajna Center of our planet, a developing synthesis ruled by Taurus. Let us visualize these great energies in relation to our group service, invoking the triangle of synthesis. The avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Lord Buddha, in anticipation of the Wesak festival, where the Lord Buddha returns for 8 minutes and stands with the Christ to guide the Lords of Liberation and the great Nirmanakayas, bringing into relationship the will and purpose to hierarchy. For the Buddha and his arhats unitedly cooperate with the Christ and his disciples, the masters of wisdom, uniting the great council at Shambhala and the planetary hierarchy. Superimposing over the great spheres that represent the integration and the unity of the centers of our planetary logos. Master DK tells us it is, of course, not possible to give any true picture of the interior events and happenings in the life of our planetary being. He indicates and points out that the world situation is simply an embodiment of the reaction and the response by humanity to great paralleling and originating happenings which involve these groups. The emanating avatar and his relationship to the Lord of the world. The Lords of Liberation focused in their high place as they become conscious of the invocation of humanity and become more closely related to the 3 Buddhas of activity. Into the great council at Shambhala and the planetary hierarchy. Through the Buddha and his arhats and the Christ. With the masters of wisdom, the hierarchy will meet. The embodiment of the 5th kingdom in nature with a magnetic active rapport with the human kingdom, the 4th. The effect of all these great groups of lives upon humanity is in our hands, and the inherent consequences as these energies work out then in the subhuman kingdoms. For we know, we're told, that the divine will is activated through humanity into and through the 3 lower kingdoms, the subhuman kingdoms. So we visualize and begin to see the role of the new group of world servers as spiritual agents emerging. And we'll focus today on the Ajna Center as these great energies pour into and through our planet. Let us sound together the mantra of the new group of world servers. May the power of the one life pour through the group of all true servers. May the love of the one soul characterize the lives of all who seek to aid the great ones. May we fulfill our part in the one work through self-forgetfulness, harmlessness, and right speech. So let us today utilize the great alignment of these superimposed triangles into and through, that we may come to a better understanding of our role as part of the subjective group, the new group of world servers, as the ajna center of our planetary being, using the instructions and teachings of Master Dwal Kul.
How do we develop vision and illumination that reveals the underlying synthesis? Life, as we have been told, is perceivable through vibration, light, sound, and color. So, what are the stages in the development of our perception under this law of vibration in relation to the ajna system? Our initial perception is through sight. The left eye is the agent of astral force, and the right eye is the agent of mental force. Eventually, the ajna center becomes the synthesis of the lower centers with the higher.
So let us think of that in relation to the new group of world servers, eventually becoming the synthesis of the lower centers in humanity.
As we reviewed earlier, the visualizing of pictures is intended to focus the aspirant within the head at a point midway between the pituitary body and the pineal gland. In that area, he draws pictures and paints scenes, and thus acquires facility to see in large and in detail that which he desires and for which he intends to work. The visualizing of what might be called directed process goes on in a more focused manner and in the area directly around the pineal gland. We use the left eye and the right eye and focus in the ajna center with a twofold direction: outward to the outer world and inward toward the spiritual world and divine life.
Let's pause just for a second, a minute, and consider how this might occur on that higher level. The subjective group, the new group of world servers, using this facility and the subjective center that is part of this great two-lobed center of 96 vortices, through which the left lobe and the right lobe create a twofold direction. Consider this as we work together in group formation, in visualization processes, in this directed process. Outward to the outer world and inward toward the spiritual world and divine life. Activating as part of the Ajna Center of the planetary life, the new group of world servers. As disciples, we recognize the Alta Major Center as the minor synthesizing center of those centers below the diaphragm that then merge and become a unit and part of the triangle of these 2 points around the pineal gland and the pituitary body, forming a triangle. This gives us an indication of the need to align the centers up the spine as a group and create an active synthesis of those centers and the energies, and then create the triangle of synthesis of the pineal, around the pineal gland, around the pituitary body, which in the new group of world servers would be the 2 lobes, one directing outward and one directing inward, and then uniting with the lower centers that have been raised. Through this process, the spiritual or third eye develops and the spiritual will grows steadily. And the Ajna Center, eventually fully opened, becomes the organ of idealism.
The third eye, or spiritual eye, is the controlling factor of the magical work. All white magical work is carried forward with a definitely constructive purpose, made possible through the use of the intelligent will. In other words, the soul knows the plan, and when the alignment is right and the attitude correct, the will aspect of the divine man can function and bring about results in the 3 worlds. The organ used is the third eye. The analogy to this can be seen in the often noticed power of the human eye as it controls other human beings and animals by a look, and through steady gazing can act magnetically. Force flows through the focused human eye. Force flows through the focused third eye.
As we look on the right side at the image that we're given by Master DK, as you practice visualization, and especially in group formation, as you align the centers along the spine, note that the heart center becomes the radiating center of Buddhi and the radiating center of group consciousness. So in the alignment in group to the head center and the throat center, there's a triangle formed with the ajna center. And Master DK describes the ajna center, the new group of world servers for our planetary being, as the integrated personality, the personality consciousness, fully integrated, that becomes the bridge then between hierarchy and humanity. Humanity, the throat center, the mind, manas, the creative center. And those three then, ajna, throat, and heart, being activating of group consciousness that then is directed to the lower centers. We think of the three kingdoms then, the solar plexus center, the animal kingdom, the sacral center would be the plant kingdom, and the center at the base of the spine, the mineral kingdom.
The eye of Buddhi. The eye of Buddhi is the distributing agent for the energy of love. As the aspirant develops, he becomes aware of the light. I refer to the light in all forms, veiled by all sheaths and expressions of the divine life, and not just to the light within the aspirant himself. As his awareness of this light increases, so does the apparatus of vision develop, and the mechanism whereby he can see things in the spiritual light comes into being in the etheric body. That your knowledge may be transmuted into wisdom, and the eye of vision control your living processes and all your undertakings, is the desire deep within my heart for each and all of you. Your master, friend, and teacher, the Tibetan.
Let's pause for just 1 minute and each of us consider a point when we became aware of this light. Not just our own light, but the light that is the soul light, whether that was in a group formation, in our own meditation, or with an experience. And we recognized the vision that was developing. We recognized intuitively the spiritual light that was coming into being in the etheric body. Just pause and consider that in your own experience. Now consider an experience in your own life, any sense of this agent of the energy of love, Buddhi, flowing in and transmuting a situation, a knowledge, into a higher wisdom in your own living process. Master Dwalkul says in the rules for disciples and initiates, let there be no recollection, yet let memory rule. The knowingness that develops, particularly as we move forward in group formation, gives us access to and an understanding of the way in which we can work as spiritual agents, as members of the new group of world servers. And yet there's this cautionary comment from Master DK in relation to the use of the ajna system prematurely and individually rather than in group formation. The third eye has a destructive aspect, and the energy flowing through the third eye can have a disintegrating and destroying effect. It can, through its focused attention directed by the intelligent will, drive out physical matter. It is the agent of the soul in the purificatory work. And we note this always when we're using the healing protocols, where we know and understand this disintegrating and destroying effect, and therefore use the radiatory process rather than the magnetic healing process, because it can be directed to the soul as a group rather than using it as an individual, where there can be danger to the focal point of the directed energy.
Spiritual eye. As a result of focused thinking in the heart, the spiritual eye opens and becomes the directing agent, employed consciously by the initiate whilst doing his work under the law of sacrifice. As the disciple and the initiate progress from stage to stage of revelation, it becomes increasingly difficult to make clear not only what is revealed, but also the processes of revelation and the methods used to bring the stage of revelation about. The vast mass of mankind throughout the world have no clear idea as to the function of the mind as an organ of vision illumined by the soul. Still fewer, only the disciples and initiates, are able to glimpse the purpose of the spiritual eye and its functioning in the light of the intuition. When we come, therefore, to the great organ of universal revelation, the monadic principle, functioning through the medium of an extraplanetary light, we enter realms which are indefinable and for which no terminology has been created, and which only initiates above the third degree are able to consider.
So as we receive inspiration from meditation and through our group work, noting the difference between revelation and the ideas that we formulate and what's required in order to utilize the spiritual eye as an organ of vision, truly illumined by the soul. And as we do in our groups, we move slowly and with caution, as Dwalkul advises, for we are moving into a realm that requires real advancement along the path. And as we process what we receive, particularly at the Wesak festival, understanding the time and the meditative reflection that will be required for groups to integrate what has been received and to formulate ways in which, as receivers with impressions, we can transmit those ideas into the minds and hearts of humanity. Just a reminder of the levels of receptivity. Our souls on this level of spiritual discernment, those truly on the initiatory path, are able to respond to group vibration and develop spiritual telepathy, the third initiation, and fourth, to be able to move into a level of comprehension on the Buddhic plane. All of this relating to the visualization exercise that we utilized last time we met. So that exercise can allow us to create the downflow in a way that can be utilized with true spiritual discernment of the soul.
What then is intuition? The intuition is not a welling forth of love to people, and therefore an understanding of them. Much that is called the intuition is recognition of similarities and the possession of a clear analytical mind. Intelligent people who have lived in the world for some time and who have experienced much and who have contacted many other people can usually sum up with facility the problems and dispositions of others, provided they are interested. This they must not, however, confound with intuition. It is not only the seeing of symbols, but that is a special sort of perception and the capacity to tune in on the universal mind upon the layer of its activity, which produces the pattern forms on which all etheric bodies are based. It is not intelligent psychology and a loving desire to help. That emanates from the interplay of a personality governed by a strong soul orientation and the group conscious soul. Intuition
is the synthetic understanding, which is the prerogative of the soul, and it only becomes possible when the soul, on its own level, is reaching in two directions, towards the monad and towards the integrated and perhaps, even if only temporarily, coordinated and at one personality. It is the first indication of a deeply subjective unification, which will find its consummation at the third initiation.
So let's pause here and do a self-remembering. In the progress in becoming attuned to the light, that point when one becomes aware with a synthetic understanding that is definitely connected to soul in a way that is really impossible to describe to another. The experience becomes that sense of a coordinated, higher response in a unified, synthetic manner. And the response can be in meditation. The response can be recalled or remembered in relation to moving as a soul into a higher relationship. Higher relationship of understanding purpose. And for most of us, it is impossible to describe with words because the experience is so deep, so synthetic, and so aligned that words seem unnecessary. The experience is truly selfless, utterly harmless, and results in right action, right speech, right application of divine ideas.
Intuition is a comprehensive grip of the principle of universality, and when functioning there is, momentarily at least, a complete loss of the sense of separateness. At its height point, it's known as that universal love having no relation, to sentiment or affectional reaction, but is predominantly in the nature of identification with all beings. Then, is through compassion now, criticism becomes impossible. Then, only, it's the divine germ seen as latent in all forms.
In all of our group endeavors, we aim at this use of the intuition. Intuition is light itself, and when it is functioning, the world is seen as light, and the light bodies of all forms become gradually apparent. This brings with it the ability to contact the light center in all forms, and thus again, an essential relationship is established, and the sense of superiority and separateness recedes into the background. This becomes a goal, particularly at the third initiation, to stand in this intuitive relationship with the world seen as light and the ability to see the light bodies of all forms. That is the goal. So as you continue in this process, we work as individuals and we work in group formation on the physical plane, continuously move into that higher space, the subjective point, the new group of world servers, the spiritual agents who are able to function, to see the world as light and to see the light bodies of all forms become apparent, and to contact the light center in all forms. This essential relationship being established as the bridge between hierarchy and humanity. There's the map again. Using it as the foundation for our alignment. To connect with the eye of Buddhi, the distributing agent for the energy of love. Bringing illumination, bringing understanding and love.
The aspect of control through magnetic energy and the attractive force in the spiritual eye, which is the dominant factor in magical work, is the correspondence to the soul. In a most mysterious sense, the soul is the eye of the monad, enabling the monad, which is pure being, to work, to contact, to know, and to see. It is the eye of vision. By its means, the spiritual man sees behind the forms of all aspects of divine expression. He becomes aware of the light of the world and contacts the soul within all forms. Just as the physical eye registers forms, so does the spiritual eye register the illumination within those forms, which illumination indicates a specific state of being. It opens up the world of radiance.
On the path of probation and later on the path of discipleship, on the reversed wheel, through the initiatory process, we progress from instinct to intellect to intuition. With illumination and inspiration, we arrive at points of identification, first as the soul and eventually as the monad. Intuition governing aspiration, the first stages of soul consciousness. In Taurus, then, the initiate can say, I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. The door has opened to full illumination, governing the intuition. The second stages of soul consciousness, with inspiration leading to identification as a soul. We'll briefly touch on the relation of Taurus and the signs of the centers. Master DK gives us some very important instructions that are fundamental to understanding the reversal of the wheel. He says, I have several times used the phrase pass through the centers and forms. This concept necessitates the idea of distributing centers to which the incoming energies may go and from which they may pass out again as radiation. Some idea of this might be grasped if I gave you the new proposition, new to you, though old to esotericists, of the centers in the human etheric body. Thus, DK is giving us the logic behind the new astrology, incorporating the science of the centers as a very important part and condition of moving into the new astrology. Let's take a moment to look at this beautiful image given to us by Alex Gray. His visualizations and the images that he developed gave so many people an understanding, or at least a way of visualizing the etheric web of the planet, interlocking all beings, all kingdoms, even into the human etheric body. DK goes on to tell us that the four centers above the diaphragm, the heart, throat, ajna, and head centers, are basically and primarily receiving centers. The centers below the diaphragm, the base of the spine, the sacral, solar plexus, and spleen centers, are galvanized into activity by the four higher receiving centers. Visualize your centers from the head to the base and note the distribution of energy, with the diaphragm separating higher and lower. And this teaching gives us a great sense of the importance of the fifth essential relation in this new astrology, the science of relationships. And if we apply it to the planet, the higher centers, Shambhala, the head center, hierarchy, the heart center, the Ajna center, the new group of world servers, and humanity as the throat center. The triangles formed then as receiving centers, receiving those extraplanetary energies. And then those energies moving down and through in triangles in those centers to then affect and galvanize the lower centers into activity. Something to ponder. The fifth essential relation. Now again, visualize the centers of the human frame, the human etheric body, and imagine these lower centers before the reversal of the wheel, magnetizing and galvanizing activity from the higher centers, which have for so many lives over eons during the evolution of human experience served as receiving centers. This process of complete magnetization and galvanizing of activity from the higher to the lower, when accomplished, demonstrates his personality and physical magnetism and influence, until the time comes when there is a reversal in the way of passing as a soul around the zodiac. This reversal is symbolized by the revolution of the sun around the zodiac from Aries to Pisces, instead of the reverse movement from Aries to Taurus. This gives us a deeper understanding of this notion of the reversal of the wheel. This reversal is repeated in the human frame, and the four lower centers eventually return that which has come to them. They thus reverse the process normally followed, and on the reversed wheel, the centers above the diaphragm become radioactive, dynamic, and magnetic. So you can imagine humanity slowly over eons, the shift in activity from the lower to the higher. Eons ago, as instinct, gradually imagine the acquiring of intellect, and now the focus on moving the lower to the higher, galvanizing the heart, throat, ajna, and head center through the initiatory process into unified soul consciousness, gradually illumination leading to intuition. This is accomplished on the reversed wheel as the soul moves from Aries to Taurus to Gemini and onward. The heart, the throat, the ajna center, and head centers are galvanized into activity, serving the purpose and the plan. So let us consider then this great event of Wesak, where the heart center, the hierarchy, the head center, Shambhala, the council chamber, the Ajna center, the new group of world servers, meet on the plane of existence, available energetically to connect with the throat center, humanity, to galvanize humanity into activity, serving the purpose and the plan. Master DK concludes this section telling us that this is an intricate occult study and is concerned with the response of the etheric body to the incoming energies. It relates finally the lowest center at the base of the spine to the highest center, the head center. This is a correspondence to the relation of the earth to the sun. Think this out. So let us continue to work on this alignment and envision as a group the life aspect from the angle of the vision of the Christ, expressing itself in three ways. Life as the energies of power, love, and light streaming into the planetary consciousness. Shambhala as consciousness. Christ as the instrument and the principle of love into hierarchical consciousness, and then into soul group consciousness, and prepare to receive this inflow at the Wesak ceremony on behalf of humanity. I see, and when the eye is opened, all is light. The spiritual eye opens, the third eye opens. True vision appears.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wheels of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.